what are these kids doing? Why are they drinking? Hello zusammen, welcome back to my channel. I hope that you guys are all having an awesome day so far. Today I'm actually going to be sharing with you some of the things that really surprised me when I first moved here. And I'm not going to be talking about things like, you know, the sparkling water and the still water or the bread, you know, very generic things. These are things that I don't hear a lot of people actually talk about quite a lot. So I wanted to point it out just in case any of you are in the process of moving here or thinking about moving here, just to give you a heads up, and maybe you'll notice some of these things as well. But let's go ahead and jump into it. So one of the first things that I noticed when I first moved here and I started speaking to people and colleagues is I started to learn that people here have a lot of higher education. So people here are on their second master's, they're thinking about getting their PhD. And for a lot of the people that I worked with, that was actually their first job, their first full-time job. And to me, this was very shocking because at this point, I had already been working since I was 16. I went straight into working full-time when I graduated from university with my undergrad. And, you know, doing a master's or PhD was never a super top priority for me. But when I started to learn that everyone else around me in Germany was on their second master's or PhD and had never worked previously, I was like, whoa, this is very, very different. I was just not used to it. And of course, this definitely has to do with the fact that Germany provides free education for their citizens, or their tuition costs are very, very small. So it does give them the opportunity to seek out more education or get their post-grad and study for longer periods of time. So obviously, like, if you have that opportunity, you would definitely want to take advantage of it. But I just felt like, damn, I wish I had that, because of course I would have loved to not go straight into work as soon as I turned 21 and I graduated from undergrad. And I still meet so many people my age that are just chilling, you know, they're thinking about traveling abroad, doing a semester abroad, or thinking about doing their PhD, and they're just very, very chill. And yeah, it's just a totally different mentality. So especially for my Canadians or Americans moving here, that's gonna be a shocker, because you start to think like, wow, I wish I had that experience, or I wish I had that opportunity to just take it easy, because our mentality back home is definitely like, go, 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 go. As soon as you graduate, you have to go straight into working full time and you have to get to that next level. But you'll notice people in Germany, especially people in their 20s, they just take things very, very chill and very easy. So yeah, that was a huge shocker for me. Another thing that I noticed pretty much as soon as I started going out, you know, to shops, just looking at things around me, I noticed that Germans are just not very quick to adapt technology. And this was quite of a shock to me, because I always had it in my mind that Germany is a very innovative culture. Their technology is like very top notch. They're leaders, you know, in the automotive industry, pharmaceutical industry. You know, they're known for this worldwide. Like they specialize on so many things and they're very good at this. But when it comes for them to adapt technology, Germans are very weary. And Germany is very much a cash-based society. I've said this before, but that was a huge shock. People here don't like to really use credit cards. They don't like to pay with their cards. They're very protective over data and data security and privacy. And things are just done a bit more slow here when it comes to adapting technology. If I go out right now, just walk around the neighborhood or go around anywhere, I'll notice things that have sort of become obsolete back home, like DVD stores and rental places and places where you can make photocopies and print things. Like, these things are just not done back home because everything is digital now. But in Germany, it's very much still alive, and these businesses are not really struggling because people still rely on these services, which is definitely a shocker. And yeah, the whole thing about cash, still gets to me. And when I speak to other expats, they are still shocked by this because everyone's so used to just paying with plastic and just not having to carry cash around. But when they come here, they have to make that switch, and it's sort of an annoyance to a lot of people. So yes, definitely carry cash. Even though they accept contactless in some places now, they're getting there, and Apple Pay, a lot of places are still very much cash based, so keep that in mind. Another thing that surprised me, and it still surprised me, is when I see teenagers drinking. And I mean like teenagers that are like 16, 17, 18, and they're just hanging out with their friends, drinking outside, and they're drinking on the trains and stuff, and they just look like they're partying. I'm like, should you be doing that? Like, you are way too young. And the reason why it surprises me is because in Canada, the legal drinking age in most provinces is 19, and alcohol is still very much regulated. So you would not see, teenagers drinking. But in Germany, the legal drinking age for beer and wine is 16. So of course, if you're a teenager here, you don't need a fake ID like a lot of people had back home. You don't need, to get your older brother or sister to buy you alcohol. You can go ahead and buy it yourself, and that is no problem. And for me, it's still a shocker because we had to go through a lot of loopholes back home when we wanted to drink, if we wanted to do underage drinking. And yeah, it's just super easy for them here. I'm totally like a grandma. I'm like always judging them, like, what are these kids doing? Why are they drinking? Why are they causing so much ruckus? That is my grandma voice. But yeah, I totally feel like I age like by 50 years when I see teenagers drinking. I'm like, that's not right, and it's not fair because you guys have it too easy. The fourth thing that I notice is the fact that Germans are not very patriotic. They don't wear, Germany memorabilia. They don't have German flags outside of their houses. You won't see them carrying German flags around for holidays, like any public holidays. You're not gonna see that around. And in Canada, it's totally different. We're very, very patriotic. We'll wear baseball hats with the Canadian flag on it or the maple leaf. We'll hang flags outside of our house. We'll stick Canada flags on the back of our cars. Like, we're very much super patriotic, and we'll talk about how proud we are to be Canadian. And of course, it goes without saying that Americans are also very patriotic, and we use pretty much any sort of holiday or public holiday to display how patriotic we are. But in Germany, it is so opposite. You will not see this sort of patrioticism. I can't talk. But in Germany, it's so opposite. You will just not see people carrying around flags or talking about how Germany is so great. It's just not in their culture to do this. And from what I've gathered by speaking to other people and just reading about it, it definitely has to do with their history, and they're very much mindful of how being too patriotic can quickly turn dark. And I read a quote by a German psychologist. His name is Stefan Grunwald, and he said, Germans still worry that their patriotism can turn into a dark obsession. And yes, I've definitely gotten that sense, and I've gathered that from just having conversations with people, that they're very much mindful about how an obsession can quickly turn dark, and they're very much reminded by that because of their past. And I've heard also that the only time that Germans feel comfortable being super patriotic is during the World Cup, where you'll see them, of course, carrying the flag with them, or having scarves with Germany on it, or wearing the jersey with the flag on it. But other than that, in the day-to-day, you will not see that unless you're at a tourist shop. That is the only time, but locals will definitely not be wearing any sort of Germany emblems or memorabilia on them at all. And then one of the other things that surprised me as well was church tax. Church tax. I didn't even know this was a thing. Now, when you register your address or you register as somebody living in Berlin or whatever city you live in, when you're filling out the form, you're gonna see a spot that says if you identify with a religion. And if you fill that out, you will be charged church tax, which means that a portion of your salary goes towards that church that you declared on the form. Now, I believe that this percentage ranges between 8 and 9%. I think in Bavaria, it's around 8% of your salary. And then in Berlin and the majority of the other places in Germany, it's 9%. So it's still a significant chunk of your salary going towards the church. And of course, if you're very religious and you want to contribute to your church, then by all means go ahead and fill it out. But I know a lot of expats do get quite shocked by this, and they fill out the form wrong and they end up getting charged. Because, for instance, in my case, I am not practicing any religion. I don't practice a religion, but I was baptized Catholic. And so if I'm filling out a form, I may have put, yeah, I'm Catholic or I was baptized. And if I put that, then I would have been charged, even though I don't actively practice. So I know a lot of expats are shocked by this and they accidentally fill out the forms wrong and then they end up getting charged. For me as a Canadian, having this type of tax was definitely shocking because in Canada, we very much keep state and church separately. The two never collide. And so to be asked this type of question on a form when I'm registering is definitely quite shocking. And yeah, I didn't know about it, but in case any of you are in the process of filling out this type of form and maybe you once practiced a religion or you were once baptized like I was, be aware of this, because if you do fill that out, then you will have to pay. So yeah, that was shocking, and I know it shocks a lot of expats when they're going through this process as well. Those are the shocking things that I've learned, and if you have any other things that you want to share, definitely leave them down below. In the event that you've just moved here and you've experienced similar things or you've noticed similar things, I would love to hear from you. And if you do want to learn more about Germany, I'm gonna leave my video here of 20 reasons why you should move to Germany in 2020 if you haven't seen it already. And if you haven't subscribed, please don't forget to. I post new videos every single week, every Sunday around 10 a.m. Berlin time, and I would love to see you here in my next video. You can click right here to subscribe. And that's gonna be all for today. I hope that you guys have an awesome day. Tschüss!